A leather water flask. Empty. The man holding it is a knight in full plate armor, kneeling on cracked earth in the July sun. He has not had water in over a day. His armor weighs 30 kilograms. The temperature is above 40 degrees. He can see the Sea of Galilee from where he kneels. The water is right there, 8 kilometers away. He will never reach it. This is how Saladin destroys the largest Crusader army ever assembled. Not with a charge, not with a siege, with geography and patience. In the last video, Hannibal surrounded 86,000 Romans on an open field through geometry. Today, a different kind of mind achieves a different kind of victory. No double envelopment, no tactical masterpiece on the day. Just a man who understood that an army without water is not an army. It is a funeral that hasn't happened yet. 1187. The Crusader states have existed for almost 90 years, a strip of Christian kingdoms along the eastern Mediterranean carved out by the First Crusade in 1099. Jerusalem, Antioch, Tripoli, Edessa. They survived through a combination of European reinforcements, Muslim disunity, and the military orders, the Templars and the Hospitallers, professional soldiers who live to fight and fight to die. The problem is that Muslim disunity does not last forever, and the man who ends it is Saladin. Salah ad-Din Yusuf ibn Ayyub, a Kurdish commander who began his career as a minor officer in the army of Nur ad-Din, the ruler of Syria. He rose through the Egyptian court after accompanying his uncle Shirkuh on a military campaign to Egypt, eventually becoming vizier. When the last Fatimid caliph died, Saladin took control of Egypt. Then he turned north, absorbed Syria after Nur ad-Din's death, and unified the two most powerful Muslim states in the region under a single command for the first time in decades. He is patient, he is disciplined, he does not rush. He spends over a decade consolidating, making alliances with smaller emirs, negotiating when he can, fighting when he must. Always with one objective visible on the horizon: Jerusalem. He waits for the Crusaders to give him a reason to act. They give him one. His name is Reynald of Châtillon. Reynald is, by any reasonable measure, a disaster in human form. He is Lord of Kerak, a fortress east of the Dead Sea. He attacks Muslim trade caravans during peacetime. He raids pilgrims traveling to Mecca. He threatens to attack Mecca itself. He breaks every truce Saladin offers. Every peace agreement Crusader king negotiates, Reynald violates. Fun fact: Reynald's own allies consider him a liability. The Count of Tripoli, Raymond III, has a personal truce with Saladin and openly disagrees with Reynald's provocations. The Crusader states are not a unified front. They are a collection of competing egos held together by geography and a shared enemy. Reynald does not care. Reynald has never met a truce he couldn't break or a caravan he couldn't rob. Saladin warns him, more than once. The response is consistent. Reynald does not stop. In 1186, Reynald attacks another caravan, capturing Saladin's own sister according to some sources. This time, there is no warning. Saladin swears a personal oath to kill Reynald with his own hands. The war begins. Saladin assembles roughly 30,000 men, the largest Muslim force the Crusader states have ever faced. He crosses the Jordan River and besieges Tiberias, a city on the western shore of the Sea of Galilee. The city is held by the Countess Tripoli, Raymond's wife. The bait is set. King Guy of Lusignan assembles the Crusader response. Roughly 20,000 men, including 1,200 knights, the largest Christian army ever gathered in the Holy Land. Every available soldier, every Templar, every Hospitaller. The garrisons are stripped bare. If this army is destroyed, there is nothing behind it. Nothing between Saladin and every city on the coast. The debate in the Crusader camp is savage. Raymond of Tripoli, whose own wife is under siege in Tiberias, tells Guy not to march. He knows what Saladin is doing. Tiberias is bait. Between the Crusader camp at Sephoria and Tiberias lies 25 kilometers of dry, waterless terrain. Hills, scrub, no rivers, no springs. In July, Raymond tells Guy to hold position at Sephoria, where there is water, and force Saladin to come to them. Reynald and Gerard de Riedefort, Grand Master of the Templars, tell Guy the opposite. March, fight, save Tiberias. To do anything else is cowardice. Spoiler! Listening to the man who has been wrong about every strategic decision for the past decade is about to cost the Crusader states everything they have. Guy orders the march. July 3rd. 20,000 men in armor begin walking east across waterless hills in the Mediterranean summer. They carry what water they can in leather flasks and barrels on wagons. It is not enough. It is never enough for 20,000 men in metal under a sun that turns armor into an oven. The landscape between Sephoria and Tiberias is a biblical wasteland in summer. Rocky hills covered in dry scrub, no shade, no streams. The ground radiates heat back up through boots. Knights who remove their helmets to breathe risk a sword to the face from Saladin's skirmishers. Knights who keep their helmets on slowly cook inside them. Saladin does not need to fight them. He needs to slow them down. His cavalry harasses the Crusader column from every direction. Horse archers ride up, lose arrows into the flanks, and pull away before the knights can respond. The Templars in the rear guard are under constant attack. The column stops, starts, stops again. Every delay costs water. Every hour in the sun drains men who are already carrying 30 kilograms of steel on their backs. By afternoon, the Crusaders have covered only half the distance. They are out of water. The wells they expected to find are dry. Some sources say Saladin had them poisoned or blocked days earlier. The army camps for the night near the twin hills known as the Horns of Hattin. There is no water at the Horns. Then Saladin does something that borders on psychological warfare at an artistic level. He orders his men to set fires in the dry brush upwind of the Crusader camp. The smoke rolls across the hilltop. It chokes men who are already dehydrated. It blinds them. It turns a desperate situation into a hopeless one. And all night, the Muslim forces shout and bang drums, denying the Crusaders sleep. The most elegant part? Saladin doesn't need any of this. He has already won. The moment 20,000 men in armor camped without water in July, the battle was over. Everything from this point forward is just the physics of dehydration playing out. Dawn, July 4th. The Crusader infantry, half mad with thirst, breaks formation and staggers toward the Sea of Galilee, visible as a blue shimmer on the horizon. Officers scream at them to hold the line. They do not hear. They do not care. A man dying of thirst does not care about formation. He cares about water. Saladin's forces surround them on the hillside. The infantry collapses in stages. Some units sit down and refuse to move. Some throw down their weapons and walk toward the Muslim lines with their hands up. They are too dehydrated to fight, too dehydrated to run, too dehydrated to stand. Muslim soldiers later report that some Crusaders simply knelt and waited to die. Raymond of Tripoli, the man who warned Guy not to march, sees the collapse and charges with his cavalry through a gap in the Muslim lines. The gap opens deliberately. Saladin lets him through. Raymond escapes to Tripoli. He plays no further role. Some chroniclers say this was cowardice. Others say Saladin opened the gap on purpose to remove the only competent commander left on the field. The knights try to charge. They charge 3 times towards Saladin's position. Heavy war horses stumbling uphill through smoke and scrub. And 3 times the Muslim lines open, let them through, and close again behind them. The charges accomplish nothing because there is nothing to hit. Saladin's army is not a wall, it is a net. King Guy rallies what remains around the true cross, the most sacred relic in the Crusader world, a fragment of the cross on which Christ was crucified. The royal tent goes up on the hilltop. The last defenders form a ring around it. Saladin's son, Al-Afdal, watches the tent fall and rise and fall again as the defenders are pushed back and rally. He later writes that when the tent fell for the last time, Saladin dismounted, knelt, and thanked God. Guy is captured alive. Saladin treats him with courtesy, offers him water.
I thank you for your courtesy.
In the Islamic tradition, offering water to a prisoner means that prisoner's life is spared. Guy drinks. Then Saladin turns to Reynald. He offers Reynald the same cup. Reynald refuses, or takes it without permission, depending on the source. Saladin reminds him of his crimes, the broken truces, the attacks on caravans, the threats against Mecca. Then Saladin strikes him with his sword. His guards finish the job. Saladin has kept his oath. Credit where it's due, the distinction is precise. Guy made bad decisions, but fought within the rules of the time. Reynald broke every rule, and was punished for it personally. Saladin is not indiscriminate, he is exact. After Hattin, the Crusader states collapse, like a house with its supports removed. Every garrison that Guy stripped for the march is now defenseless. City after city surrenders. Acre, Jaffa, Sidon, Beirut. Within 3 months, Saladin stands before the walls of Jerusalem. The city has almost no soldiers. The garrison is a handful of knights and armed civilians. Balian of Ibalan, who had been at Hattin and was allowed to pass through Muslim lines to evacuate his family, ends up organizing the defense. He knights every boy over 16 in the city. It is not enough. Saladin breaches the wall. Balian negotiates. The terms: every Christian can leave alive by paying a ransom. 10 dinars for a man, 5 for a woman, 1 for a child. Those who cannot pay will be enslaved. It is harsh. But Saladin softens it personally. He frees thousands who cannot pay. His brother buys 1,000 prisoners and releases them. Saladin allows the Orthodox Christians, who had been persecuted by the Latin Crusaders, to stay in the city. No massacre. No mass execution. No streets running with blood. Saladin posts guards at the holy sites. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre remains in Christian hands. The Dome of the Rock, which the Crusaders had converted into a church, is rededicated as a mosque. Saladin has rosewater sprinkled inside to purify it. The city changes hands with a discipline that shocks the Christian world. This matters because of what happened the last time Jerusalem changed hands. In 1099, when the First Crusade took Jerusalem, the Crusaders massacred virtually everyone inside. Muslim, Jewish, Christian. Men, women, children. The contemporary accounts describe blood reaching the ankles of the horsemen riding through the streets. The synagogue, where the Jewish population had taken shelter, was set on fire with the people still inside. It was one of the most notorious atrocities of the medieval world, celebrated in European chronicles as a triumph of the faith. History has a terrible sense of humor. The people who built their kingdom on a massacre lose it to a man who refuses to commit one. Saladin takes the holiest city in Christendom and does the one thing the Crusaders never did. He shows restraint. The West responds with the Third Crusade. Richard the Lionheart of England, Philip Augustus of France, Frederick Barbarossa of the Holy Roman Empire. 3 kings, the largest military effort of the medieval Christian world. Frederick drowns crossing a river in Anatolia before even reaching the Holy Land. Philip goes home after a few months. Richard stays. He is a brilliant field commander. He retakes Acre after a brutal siege. He defeats Saladin at Arsuf in a pitched battle, one of the few engagements where Crusader heavy cavalry was used correctly against Muslim horse archers. He marches to within sight of Jerusalem twice. He never attacks. He knows he can take the city, but cannot hold it. The logistics are impossible without the inland territories that Hattin destroyed. Richard and Saladin eventually negotiate a truce. Christian pilgrims can visit Jerusalem. The city stays Muslim. Saladin dies in 1193, less than a year after the truce. When his treasurer opens the Sultan's personal coffers, he finds 1 gold coin and 40 silver pieces. Saladin gave everything else away. Gifts to his officers, donations to the poor, ransoms forgiven. The man who conquered Jerusalem could not afford his own funeral. The field at Hattin is still dry. The horns still rise above the plain. The Sea of Galilee still shimmers 8 kilometers from the place where 20,000 men died of thirst. Saladin did not win with a bigger army. He did not win with better weapons. He won by understanding one thing that the Crusaders did not. In this landscape, the water decides. Everything else is commentary. Marathon is next, a different kind of impossible. A city-state with 10,000 citizen soldiers against the largest invasion fleet Persia has ever sent. No cavalry, no allies. Just 10,000 men who decided to run.